Okay, I think we are live. Hello, everybody. We are live on Facebook this Thursday, December 29th, November 29th. I'm a whole month ahead. I got to tell you, I'm so excited. I'm trying to contain my excitement because I'm leaving for Paris in a few hours. And actually, my husband and I just came back from taking my daughter, our 8-year-old daughter, to the airport for her very first solo flight. That was so exciting. If you follow me on my personal page, I did a quick little live on there. But she flew all by herself to go and spend 9 days with her grandparents in Florida, because my husband and I are going to Paris tonight to celebrate our 10 years married, 10-year wedding anniversary. On Black Friday, we actually celebrated 12 years when we met and became a couple. So I have a lot to celebrate today, and I'm super excited. And even though I'm in the middle of packing and getting everything ready, I wanted to come on here and share with you this challenge that I hope you will take and take seriously, because it's what has gotten me to this manifestation today, where my husband and I are flying first class to Paris, and we have a first class trip planned all around. We have private tours booked at the top attractions, literally private, just the two of us and a tour guide. We are going to the Paris Opera, one of the most famous opera houses in the world. We are going on we're having a spa day together. We're going to a 3-star Michelin restaurant. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Michelin restaurant. I hadn't until last year, but this is going to be a really big deal. So needless to say, we are having a really abundant anniversary, and we're putting a lot of abundance into it, meaning money. And I'm excited about that. I have learned to really enjoy and appreciate being able to give and exchange money in exchange for services that I appreciate, whether that is paying for money to have a great coach, which I always do, or it's to enjoy the things that I really enjoy, which I do more and more of, or if it's spending money to have someone help me take care of the house, which allows me to focus on things that are more important, like my family and my business. All of those things I have really grown to appreciate, because I know that the more that I give, the more that I receive, and that if I want to continue to receive in abundance, I've got to give, because it's all energy. Do you guys get that? And can you feel my energy? So I'm so excited about this, because this is something that my husband and I, this trip, it's a vision that we share together. Now, going back, I want to share this quick little story with you before I give you this challenge, okay? And as you come on, please say hi. Tell me if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. In a couple of minutes, I'll go through and say hi to those of you who are on here. But I want to just back up with you a little bit, because often people will ask me, how long does it take to manifest? Well, the answer to that question is you're always manifesting. Right? Things are manifesting is just the word manifest means to make something happen. So when you look around you and see what has manifested, that's an indication of what you've mostly been focused on. Okay? And so you're always manifesting, but the question is, how long does it take to manifest something that I really desire, like a big goal, a big audacious goal, which is what we're going to talk about? And it all depends, right? It depends on how long you have been an intentional, purposeful manifester, right? Meaning we're always manifesting, but most of the time it's not on purpose. We're not conscious of the fact that we're thinking things and behaving in a certain way and doing actions in a certain way that are making things manifest in our life. But when we consciously become a manifester, that's when it gets really magical. That's when we truly become a co-creator with the universe. Let me know if that makes sense to you. When you become a conscious, intentional manifester, literally in putting your intention out to what you want to manifest, that is when you become a co-creator, an intentional co-creator with the universe. It's all about being intentional. It's all about being intentional. We don't want to go around living our life always on accident, right? Or in reaction mode. And so that's what this is about. So how long does it take to manifest? Depends on how long you've been intentional, depends on how big your vision is, depends on what else needs to line up in order for those things to happen, right? So a lot of times someone will tell me, well, it's not happening quick enough. Well, what's quick enough, right? We don't have those answers. We don't know actually when something is supposed to happen. We may have an idea, but the universe sometimes has to put the other right people in place, whether that's your soulmate, your partner, a business partner, whatever it is. Those people have to be put in place and be manifesting as well. And other things need to happen, right? When you're intentional with your vision, none of that matters though. That's what I want you to understand. When you're holding the vision, and that's what you're focused on, not the lack of it, not the absence of it or how long it's taking, then it really doesn't matter, right? You don't get hung up on that because you trust the universe. And in the meantime, you're in the journey. So when I was 23 years, so 19 years ago, when I was 23 years old, I was in Paris on a backpacking trip with my very best friend, still my bestie to this day. Liz, if you're in here and you're watching, mwah, love you. We were on a backpacking trip. That was also a vision that I held to go to Europe. I didn't necessarily want to backpack. That wasn't my vision. My vision as a young girl was I wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to be in another country and continent. I wanted to experience something different, which was a way different reality. There was no reason for me to even really dream about that or to think that it was possible because no one in my circle or in my community or in my family was getting on a plane, let alone going to another country or continent. But that's what I want you to know. And that's what I teach is your reality has nothing to do with your future. It has nothing to do with where you want to go, except if you continue to focus on just your reality. I'm realistic. I focus on the reality. If that's what you continue to focus on, that's what you will continue to get more of. So if you like your reality, awesome. If you don't, that's when you have to start learning how to hold a vision that is other than that reality. And that's what I learned to do as a young girl. And so I always had this vision to be in Europe and to be traveling and all of that. And that manifested, that happened. And so my best friend and I were on this trip, and there was this moment where I was on a bridge, one of the many beautiful bridges in Paris, and I stood there and I looked at everybody so romantic and the city was just beautiful. And I said out loud to myself, I often talk to myself out loud because there's really something powerful about verbalizing your intentions, not keeping them secret or held up inside, putting them out into the universe. And I remember saying out loud, one day I'm going to return here with someone that I'm in love with. And it's going to be a romantic, abundant, decadent trip. Like we're going to do all of these things that I'm not even tapped into yet. Right? Like at that point, we were eating baguettes and that was it. Morning, noon, and night, staying in hostels, which was great. It was fun. But I knew in that moment that I was going to come back at some point, but that it was going to happen in a way that was even more decadent that I could actually envision at that time. Right? I knew that I was going to be doing things like perhaps the opera and fancy dinners and hotels that I couldn't afford then, or that I couldn't even wrap my mind around, so to speak, because I hadn't experienced it. But I had this. I had my imagination. I had my vision. So I held on to that. Life went on. And this is what the universe does. It starts to put opportunities in front of you. It starts to bring things closer. Now, if I had been impatient, I would have been saying to myself at 25, at 26, at 27, at 30, why isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening? But I learned even at that early age that when something happens and how it happens is not necessarily up to me. That's up to the universe, because the universe is constantly conspiring in my favor. Write that down. The universe is constantly conspiring in my favor, in yours as well. And so because that had been such a strong affirmation for me for a long time, I knew that I didn't need to get hung up on when or how it was going to happen. But here's what the universe starts to do. It starts to get you closer. So several years later, I ended up getting hired by a company that was based out of France, not Paris, but the south of France. And so I traveled there a few times for work. And when I met my husband and we, started our relationship, I knew this is the person I'm going to go back to Paris with and that we're going to have this trip with. And so we had this conversation and we both decided, let's make that our vision for when we're married in 10 years. Let's make that our vision for when we're married in 10 years. Now, here's what you need to know for when we've been married 10 years. We didn't then live for 10 years planning a trip to Paris. We didn't intentionally save money for a trip to Paris or, plan specifically for it. We just knew, we talked about it. We said, this is what we're going to do. These are some of the things that we're going to do, et cetera, et cetera. In the meantime, we lived our life and manifested all kinds of other amazing things along the way. Then all of a sudden we woke up and we said, oh my gosh, next year is our 10-year anniversary. Are we in a position to actually go on this big decadent, total 4-star vacation that we've talked about for our anniversary? And we looked at things and we said, wow, we actually can do it all. We didn't focus on for 10 years, oh my God, how are we going to afford it? Oh my God, what if this happens? Oh my gosh, that's not possible. Oh my gosh, that's going to be difficult. That's too long, right? So we didn't focus on anything that would take us out of that vision. We just held the vision, but without attachment. Okay. And now today, as it's happening, could we have gone earlier? Probably, but not the way that we're doing it now. And it's just fallen into place, right? It's just fallen into place. It's like when I held the vision of my husband, I did that on Thanksgiving night or the night before Thanksgiving. And I had decided at that point, I am not going to date anymore. I'm not going to waste time. I'm not in a rush. I don't care. I was 30 years old and I was already an entrepreneur. I was living my life. And I just said, I don't want to waste time with with anyone that I don't want to have a lifetime relationship with. And I made that decision after having lots of relationships that were not lifetime relationships. And I decided in that moment, however long it takes, I'm totally fine with it. I'm not attached. I'm not focused on when it has to happen. I released attachment to it. And I knew that when I settled down, it was going to be that person, right? I went through this and I've written about it. If you want to know, put it in the comments. I'll send you articles I've written about it and videos I've done on the exact process. The point is, I had been practicing visualization so much at that point and manifesting. And I knew when I set that intention, I released attachment to when it was going to happen. That's important. Think about this. So many of you set a goal, but you have you're super tied to when it's going to happen. I want to get married and I want to get married by this time. So you force it and you end up with maybe the wrong person, maybe in the wrong circumstances, or you end up in the focusing on the fact that it's not there. And so then you feel bad, right? I set the intention, I released attachment to it, And in 2 days later, I met my husband. 2 days later. I didn't put that in, I'm going to meet my husband in 2 days. The point of me sharing that story in comparison to the Perez story is you're not in control. We are not in control with when something is going to happen. You know, in business, I can certainly have goals and I hit my numbers and things like that. But there's big visions. There's big visions that I set without attachment to how it's going to manifest or the outcome. But because of that, it rolls, right? Because of me not being attached to it, it unfolds and manifests as it should. I can't set that, and neither can you. And that's where so many people get hung up. It's not happening fast enough. It's not happening the way I thought. And you don't follow the signs. So the signs for me that Perez, and I know this is a little bit all over the place, kind of bouncing back and forth, but I know you're keeping up with me. You're smart. You've heard me talk enough. But Perez was giving me signs because I started working in France or for a French company, and I got to go there several times, right? So that was showing me that it was closer. Then, even after my husband got married and we had that intention, we started seeing friends and colleagues and things that were on the trip, and that like Perez would just pop up, right? And I knew, and I would celebrate for those people. Always, if there's something that you want and you see other people having it, celebrate for them. Be grateful for it, bless it, because the fact that it's in your vortex, it's in your vision, means that you are attracting it closer and closer to you. If you start to be jealous or resentful, why is it not happening to me? Guess what you do? You repel it. You push it the other way because you're focused again on the absence of it. So it started popping up everywhere, and it was just like, okay, Perez is coming. Perez is getting closer. The same thing is happening with me on something else that I've been envisioning. Okay. And so I'm like, oh boy, that's coming. I don't know when. It might be next year. It might be in 5 years. It's coming because it's getting closer. I'm seeing it in other people. It's popping up more. Okay. That's how the universe gives you signs that that's how the universe gives you signs of what's becoming closer to you, good or bad. So pay attention to what's going on around you. Okay. So today, my husband and I are leaving first class. We've got a driver taking us. We've got a driver picking us up. I mean, we are doing it all out. It's all out. It's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. So here's your challenge, okay? And I took a couple notes. So I want you to, right now, this is a challenge to you, take it or not. But I suggest, if you're going to take the challenge, this is what you do. Set a very big, audacious goal. Big, audacious, like how dare I set that goal, right? So when I was 22, 23, backpacking in Europe with like no money, right? Like literally we had everything that was it. I was going back to like no money, having to get a job, the whole thing. I set this big audacious goal of having this like first class 4-star plus experience the very next time that I came to Paris. The very next time that I came to Paris. And the reason that that's important is you don't have to set your goals based on what's currently happening in your life. So many times people set these tiny little goals, and guess what? First of all, you can't get excited about that, and it doesn't require you to think differently. It's easy to set a goal of just like going one step up. Often that means work harder. If you guys have heard me enough times, you've heard me say it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter, right? It's about thinking differently. When you set a big, audacious 10x goal, you guys have heard me talk about that. It doesn't require you to work 10 times more. It requires you to think differently. So set a big, audacious goal. A big vision for yourself. It can be a trip. It can be a relationship. It can be a career. It can be a financial goal. I remember when I set my big audacious goal of being a millionaire. when I set that, that was like so far from what seemed realistic. Who cares? That's the point. Realistic is not a part of this equation. And guess what? Now being a millionaire is like this close for me. Okay. Set a big, audacious goal. That's the easy part. So many people set goals, right? Every year, New Year's Eve, people set goals. That's the easy part. Here's the difficult part. If you allow it to be, you can allow it to be easy too. Hold that vision. This is the challenge. Hold that vision no matter what without detracting from it. What do I mean by that? Without detracting from it, without coming up with all the reasons why it's not possible, without coming up with all the reasons why it's going to be difficult, without going into all the logistics, like let me write down, like if I save $10 a day, then I can do this, that, and the other. I know you've heard people tell you to plan it out like that. Guess what? It pulls you out of the creative vision. If you're a client of mine and you're on here and you've worked with me enough, you know about the vision piece. You know about the vivid visualization and how all this technical stuff has no place in that. All that stuff will work out. Okay, so the challenge is you set the vision, you set that big audacious goal, and then you hold the vision no matter what without detracting from it. Okay, without the I can'ts, without the it's hard, it's impossible, without it's taking too long, when will it happen, all of that. Okay, and you continue to add to that vision. Live in that vision. Talk about it as if it's happening. You can do vision boards if you want. You can say affirmations, but none of that is going to matter without you actually being connected to it, feeling it as if it's happening, and staying in the feeling of it being possible, not pulling yourself into it's not possible. Because as soon as you do that, you will find reasons to prove to yourself that it's not possible. And law of attraction says, whatever you focus on, you feel, regardless if you want it or not. Whatever you focus on, you feel. So if you focus on the fact that you don't have what you want, how's that going to feel, right? It's not going to feel great. And so do you want to feel that way? And when you're feeling in a negative state, low vibration, you cannot attract anything or anyone to you of high vibration. There can be an opportunity right in front of you and you won't see it, you won't take it. How many times have opportunities been in front of you and you haven't taken it? Because if you're in that lower vibration of why everything is going to be difficult or why it's not for you or why it's impossible, then you actually can't attract the feeling of that possibility. You can't be on two opposite energy spectrums. So allow yourself to stay in the vision. Look for the signs. Look for what you want to see. Look for it. Whatever you look for, you will find. This is why I don't spend time watching the news all the time or arguing about politics. When I was younger, I thought like, that made a difference. It doesn't. Anybody can find anything to back up their point of view. Look for what you want to see and you will see more of it and you will attract more of it. Have you ever wanted a car and you hadn't even seen it on the road hardly at all, and then all of a sudden you start to see it, right? Look for what you want to see. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Don't worry about when. Don't worry about how you're going to get the money, okay? So that is your challenge. Define a very big, audacious goal. This is not the same as like a New Year's resolution. This is better. This is better. Because you're talking to the universe from your heart, from your soul about something that you truly want, something that really means something to you, and you're putting it out to the universe energetically, and you're not getting in the way with all the earthly hows, whys, practicalities. That is what manifests and attracts the vision to you into manifesting. The logistics, the how, the money, all of that starts to show up, ways to make it or opportunities, all of that starts to come when the universe gets a clear signal from you. when the universe gets a clear signal for you, but that's what you want, and that's the vision you're holding, and that you don't have resistance to it. Removing the resistance, okay? So post your goal in the comments so that you can be supported by me, by the group, and by the universe. Put it out there, okay? So I am going to get ready to pack. I've got a client to talk to. I'm so excited about that. Finishing up a little bit of packing, and then we are on our way to Paris. I am so excited. I'll be thinking about you guys. I'll be popping in every now and then into the feed to talk to you and to see how you're doing. And the next time I am live will be the following Thursday. So I'll tell you all about Paris. Okay, guys, let me pop in before I get off and see who's on here. Uh-oh, I can't see myself. Okay, sorry. I was hoping I could pop in and talk to you guys, but it's not popping up for me. So if you made a comment, I will go through and say hi to you right after we log out. Bye. Thanks for watching.